beautiful twin flames, and welcome to Tarot for You 444. I'm really delighted to have you with me today because today I'm going to be talking about twin flames in separation, and I'm also going to tell you about the new course that I will be doing to help twins in separation. So I want to get straight into what I've got to tell you. So some of these are channeled messages, and some of these things are going to be relevant in some kind of way. Okay, most of you know me as, that tarot reader that sings and has the gang around and all of that stuff. If you've watched my videos before, I try and bring a lot of fun to the channel. I try and bring joy to the channel as much as possible. But for those of you experiencing separation, particularly a long separation from your twin flame, I want to just delve in with you now and try and give you a little bit of peace of mind, and just let you know that you're not on your own. That's the first and foremost thing I want to say to you today. You're not on your own, and there are many other people experiencing the same thing as you. Okay? So I'm going to start by telling you a little story about when I was a young girl, and in some ways this will be relevant to your journey. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to happen, but my channelings usually resonate in some kind of way. So let's just get started and see what comes of it. I don't always know what I'm going to say before I say it, so I guess that's the most fun part of the twin flame journey, is you just never see that next bit coming. Okay, so when I was a little girl, and I think I would have been, let me think, I don't know, about 12 or 13, I can remember that after school I used to go and walk to two different of my girlfriends' houses. There was, one that lived a little bit closer to my house and one a little bit further. And I can remember on the way there, I used to have to go across this little bridge, and underneath the bridge there was a creek. And so many times, I went over the bridge and I would look down at this creek and think it's so amazing. And I think, all the houses that lived on the street with the creek, I'd think, wow, they're so lucky they've got this creek, because you could hear it making that beautiful babbling noise, that trickling noise. And of course in the winter time it would get full and it would be more flowing. And I remember one weekend I said to my mum, I'm going to go to the creek with my friend, and apparently we're going to catch tadpoles, And so I remember going down there, and of course, my girlfriend had done this before, and she had nets, and she had, I guess you could say ice cream containers, and containers to put them in, and she had all this knowledge about this, how the tadpoles were going to be, and she even said to me, one day, if you look after them, they will turn into frogs, right? And I didn't know that about tadpoles, which is quite funny because I was pretty naive. I mean, I still am in many ways, but I just didn't know that those little wiggly things, those little wriggly things were going to turn into frogs. And in some ways, I kind of thought to myself, as I took, we had a great day, and, we got wet, and, we had our feet in the creek, and, the beautiful rocks, and, you touch nature and you feel amazing, right? And I had this childlike naivety, and I can remember walking home so carefully with this ice cream container which had, cling wrap or cling film over the top of it, and we pricked it to make sure that there was air in there for these tadpoles. And I can't remember what I had to feed them, but she knew all of that stuff, and she told me. And I got home and I put them outside, a little bit up high, because I had a pet dog and also a cat, so it was I had to sort of maneuver these tadpoles where they weren't going to get knocked away or pushed over or something. And I can remember waiting for them that same day. I'd sit outside and I'd look at them, and I'd sit outside and I'd look at them, and I'd sit outside and I'd look at them. And I just really thought for a moment that she was maybe, it was make-believe that they were going to turn into frogs. Which is kind of weird, I know, because I just didn't know that they were going to turn into frogs. And so anyway, I showed my mum, and I can remember, she used to sit on her chair, and she was a smoker. She loved to smoke. And back in the day when smoking wasn't bad for you, my mum would sit there and smoke and enjoy being a smoker, and she'd have a cup of tea and she'd have her cigarette in her mouth, and she'd say, she called me Tasha, and she said, "Tasha, I don't know that this is going to happen." And I said, oh no, they're not going to turn into frogs, are they? And she said, no, she said, I just don't know that you've got the same amount of food that the creek would provide for the tadpoles. They really do belong, in the creek. They don't really belong in a container, And of course I convinced her, I know what to feed them, and my girlfriend told me what to do, and I was all excited. And of course she wanted me to to see the magic of it all, I guess. And so she said, as long as when they turn back into frogs, you go and take them back to the creek so that they can live happily ever after, because our backyard hasn't got what they need. And so I made that promise to her, and and I kind of thought, oh, they're going to turn into frogs one day. Anyway, I think it was about a week that passed and nothing had happened, and my girlfriend hadn't really said anything, because she was, I guess, used to, catching tadpoles, seeing them turn into frogs, taking them back to the creek, And I kind of forgot about them, for a couple of days. And then, I kind of went one day, oh, the tadpoles, and I went to have a look. And there was this frog. And I was like, oh my God, it's a frog, And I could see the other tadpoles, were getting bigger and, sort of going to turn into frogs. So I want to tell you that, yes, I took the frogs back and, put them back after playing with them for a little while. I had to play with them, as a kid you play with these things. But I was always kind to animals. I always loved animals. I still do. I still have animals. I still love animals very much. But I want to kind of talk about two little parts here where, there was that disbelief inside of me that, maybe my friend is stringing me along. Maybe it's not really going to turn into a frog, Maybe she's just kind of teasing me in some kind of way. Because I was very naive and I believed a lot of things that people told me. And then, just a quick example of that is, I lived next door to this boy and his family, and they had quite, I guess they were wealthier, but also more intelligent, like his older brother had shown him things, I guess. And this one day I was standing out on my porch looking at the flowers, because I also lived with my nana and my grandfather at the time. My mum and I lived with my grandparents, and I loved these little flowers that were, on the veranda, and I just was standing there and I was looking at them, and I don't know, it was kind of so beautiful because there was this pink part of the flower, and then inside it was like a yellow powder puff. And so I was looking here and, thinking, oh wow, how beautiful it is. And I just love spending time out in the garden and outside. Anyway, this boy, he comes around the side of the fence, and because he sees me there, and he goes, hey Natasha, because he calls me Natasha. Can imagine it, like a 12-year-old boy. He was in the same year as me at school, and he walks around the corner, and I'm going to get to the twin flame journey soon, I promise. This is all part of it. I'll link all of this in a minute, but he goes, I've got a present for you. And I'm thinking, oh wow, cool, I love presents, being naive, not realizing that boys at that age are going to be silly and do all those things. But anyway, so he walks around and he's got his hands behind his back, and I'm thinking, okay, he has got something for me because he's got his hands behind my back. And he just throws this magazine at me and then runs away, and he's laughing his head off, and he's throwing this magazine away. And of course, I didn't want my grandparents to see that I was talking to him, and they were kind of in the lounge room, which wasn't too far away from the front door. So I grabbed this magazine and sort of hid it under my t-shirt, and I went back to my room and closed the door. And of course, everyone knows when you close your door and you're no one's allowed in. When you close the door, someone's got to knock, so that's okay. So I go back into my room, and I'm thinking, oh wow, maybe it's a teenager magazine, maybe there's going to be like cool, the latest songs in it or something, like that, like a teenager mag. And I pull it out of my t-shirt, and it's still open to the same page that it fell on. And there's this massive centerfold of a man, of a semi-tanned man with a very erect penis. And at this point in my life, I've never seen a man's penis, right? Or a boy's, anyone's penis. I've not seen a penis ever before. And so I'm sitting there with my hands over my eyes, and then I'm sort of peeking, and I'm like really confused. I was like really, really confused, like, oh my God, what is this, So I kind of hid the magazine under my bed somewhere and thought, well, I cannot look through any more of that until I kind of work out what the hell's going on, because, of course there was, there was testicles as well, and I'd never seen them either, and it was highly strange for me to see that. So anyway, getting back to the frog story, right? So we've got the chick that told me about the frog, that it was going to be, the tadpoles are going to become a frog. Okay, so this part of the twin flame journey, I'm going to, I'm using metaphors here. I'm using connecting stories, but it's that pie in the sky idea that it's going to happen. One day my prince will come, like Cinderella. And I kind of was like, I'm kind of semi-looking in the box, in the container. Are they frogs yet? No. Maybe she's not really my friend. All right. Maybe this is bullshit. Which is probably what some of you may think, when you listen to, twin flame coaches and stuff on YouTube. Maybe that's a new platform. So it's kind of like, can this really happen? Is it too magical? I mean, I was kind of expecting, it's funny because my mum, and I loved my mum so much. She was a big part of my life when I was a little girl. She was also very sick for many years, but she had this frog. Before we lived with my grandparents, we used to live in a unit together, just me and her. And she used to have this little ornament, it was of a frog. And it says, and the frog had a crown on it, and it said, "You've got to kiss a lot of frogs before your prince will come," right? And I can just remember not understanding what that meant at all. Like, what do you mean? My mum was like trying to explain to me that, you're going to meet a lot of wankers, which is what we'd say in Australia, same meaning as like dickheads, I guess. You're going to meet a lot of wankers before you meet the right one, And so as I was imagining these frogs, I was kind of, imagine before they became frogs in the container, I was thinking, maybe they're going to have little crowns on them, I was really so naive when I was young. It's so cute. I was such a cutie. Anyway, I had big blue eyes and really white blonde hair. You can imagine. I just believed everything everyone told me. Like, I just, she could have told me that they were going to turn into bats, and I would have been expecting them to be hanging from the veranda. It would have been funny. But so what I'm saying is, there's a lot of pie in the sky ideas, that come from, twin flame coaches and, on the internet and all that stuff. And you go, well, is this really real? And you question the journey, especially when you're in the separation phase. You really question it. Like, is this just a pie in the sky, someday my prince will come kind of idea? And then I'm going to talk about my mum for a sec. She was kind of just chilling, having a cigarette and her cup of tea, and just knowing that the frogs were going to come. And I'd be asking, are you sure they're going to come? And she'd be like, well, yeah, they're tadpoles. I mean, tadpoles turn into frogs. I'm sure they will. And she was kind of chill about it. And this is how some of you are about the twin flame journey. You really surrender into it. I'm not saying that you should take up smoking by any means. My mum really shouldn't have been a smoker, but she kind of, I don't know, I guess she used that as something to cope, But the twin flame journey is kind of this thing where at first you go, when you meet them, you're like, oh, I've met a tadpole. Are they going to turn into my frog prince, Like, is this could really happen? And then you kind of go, after a while, you kind of freak out and then go, maybe I'm crazy. And so you kind of get forced into taking a chill pill, like sitting, like my mum used to sit out on the back veranda. She just used to chill, she'd just sip on a cup of tea and look at the garden, And there's a really different phase, I guess we could say, or stage where you go from thinking, oh wow, this could be my magical, I don't know, white picket fence kind of marriage, kind of have children kind of scenario, to after being on the twin flame journey for a while, you just want to sit down and chill. It's just like, I think I just need to chill. Like, I've just been, maybe chasing for a while. Like I was chasing the idea that the tadpole was going to turn into the frog. And the more and more I tried to watch that container, the more and more the tadpoles just would not turn into frogs. And then the moment I forgot about the container and walked away and, was, I don't know, maybe doing homework in my room, the frog appeared, there's the divine masculine, appearing. So how am I going to tie this into the guy who threw the magazine at me? Well, that's a real great metaphor for the false twin flame that usually comes in around the same time as the divine masculine, or before the divine masculine. and you kind of question whether or not that's your twin flame, because not everyone has a false twin, but what may happen as you're on the twin flame journey is that you get, especially as you surrender, especially as you become like my mother and sitting there chilling and having a cigarette, don't smoke, that's not what I'm saying, but you know what I mean, just chilling out. And as she was sitting there just chilling out, she was kind of like a magnet, and it's funny because the curiosity I'd always had about, I wonder what a guy looks like naked, had been something I'd been wondering for years, like I wonder what they look like under their pants, because my mum had shown me a book which had cartoon characters in it. So I knew that there was different block and tackle down there, but as this other kid, this next door neighbor, threw the magazine at me, I became horrified, like that, someone could be that, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, it was just so much, because, back in my day, when I was little, like nakedness was a thing that, was really like, you could only be naked in front of your mother, you know what I mean? Like you don't show yourself to other people, I mean even when I played netball and I had a shorter skirt, I used to, my mum would check it and say, oh, I don't know about these skirts, they might be too short, and I didn't know why she was saying that. I was just like, well, maybe she's got some sewing craze that she likes to, have things not too short. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was like a sexual thing where, she could maybe see that other men or boys could be interested. You know what I mean? So the twin flame journey and the separation phase can be really hard, because on one hand you want to look at it like it's this magical pie in the sky ideal, and a lot of people sell it like that, someday your prince will come and it'll all be magical and it'll all be fantasy and wonderful and all of that stuff. But the thing is, we live in the 3D reality, and there's kind of different things that go on in the 3D reality. And as a child, looking through child's eyes, if you do that in the twin flame journey, it's kind of really great to help you with manifestation, because you need to have that dreamlike inner child quality about you. But if you don't learn how to be the adult version of you, the kind of sit and chill and wait and let go and surrender, not detach. You don't want to detach, because detaching is like kind of forgetting about them. It's kind of like F you, and you don't want to do that. But when you can sit and chill on the twin flame journey, it's kind of like you're a magnet. You know how in Snow White, she walks around in the garden or wherever she is, or in the, I don't know, is she in the jungle? Where is Snow White? She's in the forest, I think. I don't know. She could be anywhere. She could be in Guatemala, but wherever Snow White is, you know how all the animals just magnetically just follow her around, and it's like, she can, I don't know, she whistles, I think, at one stage in one of the movies, and the little birdie whistles back at her, So it's kind of being in this state of, I'm okay on my own, and my happiness comes from within. So looking outside of yourself for the happiness is kind of what I was doing as a child. I mean, I was already happy, but that expectation, where's the frog? Where's the frog? Where's the frog? Where's the frog? I was looking every day and there was no frog. And as soon as I turned my back and just, I didn't even do it on purpose. I just turned my back and, for a moment to get on with homework or something else, and then as I walked back over, there was the the prince, the frog, right? So this is the hardest part that becomes the most difficult in the separation, is that you long for them so desperately because they are you. You are magnetically attracted to them. You are, desperately attracted to them at some points in the journey. And, the thought of them not being with you, for some twin flames, it's like you would rather not be alive than not be with your twin flame. And so this is kind of like a grief that comes about in the separation. And even if you do surrender and go, well, I'm just going to allow it to happen, unfold how it's meant to, I'm going to connect to myself, etc., etc., you can still feel the immense sadness and the sorrow and the grief, because it feels like grieving. It feels like you've lost something really important to you, someone really important to you, because when they're not there in the physical, it's a very lonely place, or it can be a very lonely place. So many twin flames go into this surrender and they understand that they just need to be like how my mum was and chill out and just chill out and be in the garden, right? They understand that. But then the loneliness also sets in, and this can be quite harrowing. In fact, the feeling that you'll feel is as though you're leaking energy from the solar plexus. So the solar plexus is located above the navel, in between the heart chakra and above the navel, or above the belly button. Some people call it a belly button, right? And you'll feel it there, and maybe also in your heart chakra. It's this absolute feeling as though you're missing, the biggest part of yourself. So what I want to talk about now is the separation phase. So whether you're in separation because you can't get to your twin, there's a locality difference, cultural difference, maybe they're with a karmic partner, maybe you're with a karmic partner, maybe they're just not committing at all yet. Maybe you haven't spoken to them for years. Whatever reason you're in separation, it can be a semi-separation or a long-term separation. What I want to do now is offer a course to you that will help you be able to maintain your energy as you go through the separation. So even if they're coming back and forth, I don't know, maybe they talk to you and then they go away for 2 weeks and then they come back and you think, oh, you've had enough, you want to put your hands in the air or something. Maybe they haven't spoken to you for 2 years. Maybe, it's going to be different for each of you. So what I want to do is offer you a course, okay? It's going to be 6 parts, and it's going to help you be able to maintain your energy and maintain your vitality and your balance while you are waiting for union. Okay, so I've also got my twin flame system, which allows you to, energetically, it'll allow you to attract in your twin flame. But if you've been in separation and you're struggling with the separation, this is what I find I get the most emails about. And so, I get emails where people say, like, I'm really missing my divine masculine. It feels so lonely. I don't think I can cope. I have to leave the journey. I don't know how to leave the journey or how to stay on the journey because it's just that the pain is so great. If that sounds like you, then this will be the course for you. Okay, so this is about making sure that you are okay even in the separation. Okay, so we're going to touch base on a lot of different topics in this course, and I was going to tell you what the topics are, but I don't think I need to. I think if you're in separation, you know that, you'll know what the topics are. You'll know that you've got some abandonment issues. Perhaps you have got some PTSD or anxiety or depression, or we could call that the dark night of the soul. We could call, I guess we could also say, like there's a feeling of confusion. Do I continue on this journey or do I not continue on this journey? There's the issue of balancing yourself so that you're coping as well. Then I want to get into talking about mission, and I also want to talk about daily practices. All right, so this 6-part course will cover abandonment, the dark night of the soul, the confusion, the balancing out of that, daily practices, and mission work. And so by the end of it, you will feel like you can cope. So, you'll probably still want to watch twin flame, videos, where is my divine masculine now? What's he doing? Or, vice versa, depending on if you're a DM or a DF. But you'll be able to cope much better. It won't be as painful. It won't be as, the longing won't be as difficult. And I really feel that this is the course that's going to be like a game changer for many twin flames. I might even call it the game changer. I don't know. I'll come up with a name for it, but it's definitely a shift from that feeling of, I guess you could say, going back to the little story, where I got thrown that magazine and I kind of felt despair because I'd never seen a penis before and I didn't know what to do. And, you kind of do feel despair because when your divine masculine throws his beautiful words at you in the very beginning, or his lovely, bats his eyelids at you, or even makes promises to you, or you feel that connection, because remember, as a little kid, all I saw was another little kid coming to me with a smile on his face, and I thought, wow, someone's smiling at me, how cool this is going to be. And then I got thrown in the deep end a little bit, which happens on the twin flame journey to many of you. You get thrown in the deep end, all of a sudden, that bliss that you felt with that smile at the get-go turns into some kind of weird magazine. You know what I'm saying. And I'm using all these metaphors, so I hope you can understand what I mean. But it doesn't matter where you are, even if your divine masculine's behaving really badly, even if you're still kind of, someday my prince will come in that mode, or if you're in the chill out mode, these are kind of the modes that we can get into in the twin flame journey. I want to teach you how to balance it out so that you still have hope for the connection, or you may want to walk away from the connection, and by the end of the course you're going to know what you want to do. So you'll be strong enough in yourself Because what I find is that so many, especially divine feminines, they give their heart away, they give their body away, they give their soul away, they give their whole being away to this other person, and then they don't show up. You know, they ghost, they block, they miscommunicate, they I don't know, come in and out with their communication, they do all this stuff. And before the divine feminine knows it, it happens to the divine feminine, but before the divine feminine knows it, she's kind of like a shell of her former being. That, you know, when she met him, she might have been going great guns, you know. So it shakes the foundation of you, and it makes you kind of lose a lot of strength. In many ways it can. Wow, my throat chakra is going a bit crazy now, because for many of you struggling, okay, a lot of twin flames start, you know, overeating, start using drugs, start smoking, start drinking, start doing a lot of behaviors outside of themselves that perhaps they were doing before, but they increase it because they're not coping. So I want to teach you a different spiritual way of coping, okay? Because we don't want to be smoking and drinking and eating and, you know, all of that kind of stuff to cope, okay? Because that's only a temporary fix, you know. It's like a band-aid, okay? But when you take the band-aid off, you know, you've still got the wound, all right? So if you are interested in this course, I want to take your name. So I want you to send me an email. In the description box below will be my Gmail account. Send me an email and tell me if you're interested or not. It's going to be available in modules. Okay, so it's going to be at a cost of Australian dollars. It'll be $369, which is 6 payments of $61.50. All right, 6 payments of $61.50, and it's going to be a game changer, a life changer. If you want to leave the journey, you'll be able to still leave the journey. If you want to stay on the journey, you'll be able to cope a lot better staying on the journey. Alrighty, so that is what I'm in the process of doing. But if you let me know that you're interested, I'm going to be, you know, making the course within the next week or so. The course will be done. So I want to take numbers now, so that as soon as the first video is ready, we can get you started on the course. Because, you know, the longer you stay in the separation, or even semi-separation, and don't focus on yourself, or don't focus on what you need to focus upon, the more it feels, you know, it can feel like you're drowning, you know. Well, and there goes my throat chakra, because many of you are going to need this course. You know, even, like I say, even if you've decided to leave the twin flame journey and you just need to be able to cope, you know, you've been through it all. Maybe your divine masculine ghosted you, blocked you, never came back, you know, isn't intending to come back, all of those things. And, you know, you've decided to leave the journey. This course is also for you. Or if you're staying on the journey, it's for you too. So, obviously, it's up to you whether you feel like you need to do this. But it's going to change. It'll be a life-changing course. Okay? That's very, very needed at this time. I know many divine feminines in particular are struggling. There's kind of 3 groups of what's going on. You know, some are coming into union, you know, as soon as the world opens up again, as soon as, you know, a few more blocks of get out the way, people will be coming into union. Then you've got twin flames who are in, you know, separation for a really long time, years and years. And then you've got twin flames who are trying to get their twin flame to commit to them. So they're sort of in semi-separation or semi-union, depending on, you know, whether you see half glass full or half glass empty. Alrighty, so if you want to sign up for this life-changing course, please email me as soon as you can, and as the videos come out, I will give you access to them as soon as I can, because I think, you know, this is going to change the game for many of you who are struggling, who feel empty, who feel lost, who feel lonely. Lonely is a big word. Many of you feel very lonely without your twin flame. Okay, so I hope you liked my stories. I don't know. I think that's all I want to say about that. Just email me as soon as you can, and we can get you started on this course. It's going to, like I say, be a game changer, life-changing course to help you cope better within the separation. Some of you may have decided to already leave the journey. This course will still be for you. Okay? I'm sending you a beautiful, wonderful day, night, afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. And I love you all very much. Thank you for supporting me. And don't forget, if you can help with charity in your area, or you know, give something back to your own community in some kind of way, that would be a really beautiful thing to do. But if you can't right now because you're going through a dark night of the soul, or you just need a friend to talk to, you're more than welcome to email me as well. Okay, I don't want anyone to feel alone on the twin flame journey. Alrighty, have a beautiful day. I'm thinking of you all. I'm so proud of you all for how far you've come. The world definitely needs you. Please keep going. Please know that you are loved by me and by God, Allah, Buddha, whoever you believe in. You're definitely loved. Okay, so if you're going through a rough time, just know that this channel is here for you. And yeah, let me know if you want to do the course. Okay, so I'll talk to you all real soon, and until then, I'm saying sayonara, ciao, bye. I don't know how many other ways I can say goodbye, but you know, all the languages, all the countries, I love you all. Okay, bye, see you later.